Hello everyone and welcome back to Gran Turismo 7. We are taking a look at everything that was added in update 1.44, and we're just a couple of updates behind where we should be now. Anyway, with this update we got a couple of interesting cars. We're going to be starting off with this thing, the Lamborghini Urus. It is possibly pronounced, I have no clue. Anyway, yeah, this is a pretty interesting car, not what you would really expect from Lamborghini. They're not known for SUVs, so I'll be curious to see how this thing goes. Looks pretty cool as SUVs go, so yeah, we'll see what happens. Anyway, the Urus was the first SUV to be designed by the world-famous supercar maker Lamborghini. Taking design elements from such legends as the Countach and the LM002, the Urus has reworked them into a functional 4-door, 5-seater sport utility vehicle. Powered by a twin-turbocharged V8 up front, is capable of punching over 300 kilometers an hour. At full throttle, you'll swear it was a racing car. With its four-wheel drive system that excels on the roughest of roads, the Urus is one super SUV. Well, there we go. It is no slouch according to the description, so it'll be interesting to see how it goes on the racetrack. A touch on the heavy side being an SUV, so as we head to the Clubman Cup 600, I did grab a couple of the weight reduction upgrades and some bits and pieces, so we'll see how this goes. We're at Blue Moon Bay, not my favourite layout of the circuit, but hopefully we should still be able to have a good race here. But yeah, it did take me a little while to sort of understand how to drive this circuit, and to an extent the car as well, because it is certainly not what I expected. I mean, sure, we've done some weight reduction upgrades, but it actually is very, well, I wouldn't say it's pointy, but it's very quick to turn compared to what you might expect from an SUV. I mean, to be fair, it's a Lamborghini, so you might expect it to be a bit better than the average. Yeah, it's actually a really nice car to drive. It can be a tiny bit snappy, but generally speaking, it feels very well balanced, and yeah, has plenty of horsepower, 641 horsepower, I believe. And with the weight reduction upgrades, you get it down to a ton and a half running at the moment, and yeah, it's very just generally nice car to drive. So that really surprised me, I suppose. Yeah, we'll see if we can get the job done with our current package as we continue to make our way through the field, starting to get into some of the faster cars now as we are edging towards the top 10. And we'll see if we can get to the outside. Bit of a snap there, so it can be a bit tricky as we're off the road, car in front off the road as well, which is interesting to see. Let's see if we can maybe make the move to the outside. We might try and switch it back as they went a bit deep, and we'll cut underneath and use all the road there to get through. And now we are up into the top 10 as we're off into the grass once more. Thankfully, this car is capable of handling it not too badly. Of course, you still lose a bit of time going out there, but it's not the worst thing in the world as we get down the inside and move ourselves up into P9. We might be able to grab another one here as we're a bit slow on that run between this section, and now we're a little bit out into the wall there, and now we come to this very awkward corner where we sort of bounce off this inside apron kind of corner. I don't really know what to call it. And then back up onto the banking again. Can be a little bit tricky to control on the transitions, but due to the lines we had to take through there, it wasn't too bad as we're continuing to march our way through the field. We've managed to get ourselves all the way up into P4, P3 coming right up as we make the move down the inside into this banked right-hander, and now we just need to chase down the top two. And as we continue on, we are eventually able to do that as we are about to start the final lap. We've got a nice run. We'll pick the gap there and move ourselves up into the race lead, and we should be able to hold on to this to the end with the fastest lap there. I think we've got this one under control. And as we continue on to the end of the race, that is all there was to it. We'll cross the line, and that's a P1, and a nice successful outing in the Lamborghini. And yeah, I gotta say, a very, very nice car to drive, and yeah, hopefully we'll have the chance to use this in future. But yeah, it's a really, really cool car. So it set a high bar for the start of the episode. The next car we have to drive then is from Audi, and it's the R8 Coupe V10 Plus from 2016. A little bit less room in the boot with this one. In fact, if you open the boot, you'll probably find the engine being a midship car. So yeah, probably not the best place to be putting your groceries. But anyway, back on topic. Let's see how a more dedicated high-performance car compares to the Lamborghini Urus. I was scrolling through all the colors here, and you know, sometimes you choose a color because you know, you like that particular shade of whatever color it is, and then sometimes you see a color with a certain name, and you know you just have to choose it. And that happened with this car, Dynamite Red. That is what we are going with for this one. But anyway, like its first generation predecessor, the second gen R8 from 2016 was practically built for the track. After all, the R8 was developed by the same department in charge of Audi's customer racing cars, which are probably mostly R8s. But anyway, where the second gen R8 really shines is its weight. It's much lighter than the first gen model. The base version was equipped with a 5.2 litre V10 FSI engine. But this V10 Plus model has received special tuning, putting out a lot more horsepower under the hood. So there we go. It's basically the first gen Audi with less weight and more horsepower, which I guess kind of makes sense if it's an evolution of a high performance car. But anyway, a fair chunk of money later, and we have a shiny new car, and now we have to race in the Schwarzwald League at High Speed Ring Reverse, which is an interesting place to take a car like this. I'm a little bit concerned it might get a bit snappy through some of these corners, but we'll see how it goes, and hopefully we can have a good run straight away, making the move to the outside, and immediately we get a little bit of that snappiness into what is usually turn 6, turn 1 of course, in the reverse layout, slight left-hander into the tunnel. This is just about the only reverse direction layout that doesn't completely mess with my head. We've only got 6 corners to memorize, so it's not too difficult. But anyway, we've already gained a couple of spots. Not as big of a field in this one, just 16 cars and 5 laps to get the job done. So a bit of a longer one here at High Speed Ring in terms of the number of laps we have to do. But yeah, not the most challenging circuit in the game. So hopefully we shouldn't have too much trouble. It really is much about horsepower here. So hopefully the evolution of the original car with that extra horsepower can work for us here as we race our way around this easily flat final corner and up to the line to complete the first lap. We've moved ourselves halfway, or not halfway up the field, almost halfway into P10, and now we are flying along the straight with a whole bunch of straight line speed. A little bit of contact along the straight with cars and barrier, but nonetheless we're up all the way into P7 now as we continue to push on, heading into the tunnel once more. A couple of cars just up the road, so we'll see if we can close into them through the S-bend in the middle of the lap. and floating it out a little bit wide there. We finally get it turned in for the latest of possible apexes there, and that's given us a nice wide line. Carry a bunch of speed into the next left-hander over the cable-stayed bridge, which looks quite bizarre from this direction, and now down the inside into what is technically the penultimate corner in this layout of the track, even though we still have a fair few meters to cover. We're up into the top 5 now, and just this final corner remaining of lap 2. The next group of cars a fair way up the road, so we'll move on. Actually, we probably don't need to, because we are absolutely flying along the straight, and we'll be on them in very, very short order. And there's what is the speed differential there? We have a much higher top speed than even some of the top cars in this race as we throw it into the banking. Keeping it up high tends to work in a lot of different cars. But it really depends on how much downforce and things you have to work with. But anyway, down the inside we send it in a bit deep there, and a full spin into the wall, and that is not ideal. That's what that isn't. And yeah, you can see we've dropped a long way off the group ahead, so let's try to catch up. And as we continue on, we do catch up to a couple of cars up into second position now. The race leader just a few seconds up the road, and we are holding in that margin with the top speed of this thing here at High Speed Ring. And the only upgrade I did was the sports soft tyres, and that's making all the difference in the corners as well. It's probably why we can get away with all the sliding we've been doing. And we take the race lead there up into first place with more than a lap to go. So yeah, let's just move on to the end and try and keep this thing under control. And so as we continue on, that was about all there was to it. We crossed the line in P1, and that's this race ticked off the list. The car was nice enough, not as fun to drive as the Lamborghini, I would say, but could easily take the win with no upgrades, so it does have that going for it. But anyway, the final car of the episode, the Toyota GT1 TS020, legendary car from Gran Turismo history. Let's have a little read about it. Overall victory in the 24 Hours of Le Mans is one of the greatest achievements for a manufacturer. This Toyota GT1 is one of many cars that aimed for the peak of automotive competition. It competed in Le Mans in the late 1990s under GT1 regulations, the highest category for production model-based race cars. Having developed this Le Mans spec car specifically to compete in GT1, Toyota named it simply the GT1. Development of the GT1 and race team management was led by genius race car designer Andrea Cotanze. Already an accomplished engineer, Cotanze had developed cars for F1, WRC, and Le Mans. What he created for Toyota was a beautifully advanced racing machine. His GT1 combined Formula car technology with GT car style body design. The Toyota GT1 competed in Le Mans twice, in 1998 and 1999. In its first outing in 1998, it finished 9th overall. Toyota returned in 1999 with the team of Ukyo Katayama, Toshio Suzuki, and Keiichi Tsuchiya, taking second in car number 3. Though the team wasn't quite able to reach their goals, fans will never forget the feats of the GT1. I would just like to emphasize, there is a production version of this car. Just saying. Obviously it was a one-off homologation car, but still, that's insane. Anyway, yeah, without further ado, let's take this thing to the track. I'm pretty excited to drive this, so let's see what it is capable of. And the race we have to do is the World Touring Car 900, which is a race for Group 2 cars mostly. It's what we are up against. So, yeah, let's see what we can do. We start, of course, at the back of the grid. We've got 10 laps of Le Mans ahead of us, and we may need to make a pit stop in this race as well. We'll see how things go. Well, I'll just say it. This is not my first attempt at this race, and in fact we've had to even turn the difficulty down for this one, because this race is actually really tough. The other Toyota TS020, which starts a bit further up the road, is very quick, and we've already picked up a penalty for our troubles earlier in the lap. So yeah, we've got a lot of work to do in this race as we are on to the back straight, and yeah, it's like I said, not going to be an easy race, but we've got plenty of time to get through the field, 10 long laps ahead. So let's just take a nice and easy big dive down the inside, and we actually do get it stopped pretty nicely there, and we move ourselves up another position into P18, so 2 spots gained so far, but plenty more to make on this first lap as we sit in the slipstream, and you can immediately see where this car shines. It is ridiculously fast in a straight line compared to the cars we're up against, at least towards the back of the field, so that'll be interesting to see how that progresses. But for now, we are doing just fine. We're up into P16. We carry on then, and it takes us basically a lap to catch up to the next car, and the Toyota Supra, that's actually a Group 3 car, but I think they've stacked some upgrades on it to get it a little bit more competitive in Group 2, so that it can be in amongst it in this race. And yeah, you can see the straight line speed difference that we had passing our fellow Toyota. Actually only 2 or so years older. I'm not sure what the exact year model of this car is, but only a year or 2 older than this car is that Supra, but of course for a very different class of racing. But anyway, the old Pennzoil GTRs there, we give a huge punt to the lads just up the road, and it gives us another position as the Merc was off, and now we'll get the move done on the straight and get ourselves up into P12. So a nice bit of progress there, as we will have to serve our penalty soon. Hopefully it won't hold us back too much. This straight line speed is just insane, and that's another couple of positions all the way up into position number 7 now, as we throw it into Indianapolis. I think we should be able to serve this penalty without losing positions, given the speed we can gain very quickly in this car. We'll find out in just a moment as we cross the line, and yeah, we're not even looking back. We're not concerned about who is behind. So as we carry on, it takes us again almost another lap to even catch sight of the next group of cars, but we're catching very quickly. But rather importantly, as we swing it around the outside here, in that previous group of cars was the other Toyota GT1, so we're ahead of them on track now, which is huge because they are our biggest rival in this race, no doubt about it. As we continue on, we catch up to one of these lovely BMW McLarens, and we zoom straight past like they're standing still. Seriously, the straight line speed we have is ridiculous. You could almost wonder why we are concerned about any other cars in this race with the straight line speed we have. And indeed, the cornering speed, to be fair, isn't too bad when we get it hooked up. But you'll see how quick the other Toyota is once they're in clean air. So we still need to push on, even though it looks like we are going crazy fast. Actually, that McLaren's a Group 3 car as well, but it's been lumped into this race, which is interesting to see. But anyway, we're up now all the way into 3rd position, so we really are flying in this race, with still a long way to go. We are only lap 4 of 10, so still plenty to play out in this one. We continue on then to the back straight, lap number 5, and we'll go zooming on through up into 2nd position very easily there. You'll notice we're actually down in fuel map 3, which basically gives us the perfect fuel burn rate to be able to stop at the end of lap 5 for our pit stop, and then come out and push on for the rest of the race with a full tank of fuel. again, using map 3 to the end, it just gives us enough to go the full 5 laps to get to half race distance. So yeah, that's why we're not pushing to the absolute max, otherwise this would be definitely a 2-stopper. But anyway, as we charge in to the second chicane, we've got the race leader in sight, and with our straight line speed, bit of a wobble on the exit there as the tyres are well and truly past their best. In fact, they're completely worn out on the rear end, but yeah, this should be a pretty easy move for the lead. In fact, we've switched to the in-car camera as we end up going a bit deep, and yeah, that's what I get for horsing around. So we have to do that all over again. Try and take it easy on the power. Dirty tyres, worn out tyres, they're not in a good state at the moment, but even so, the straight line speed builds very quickly along the run towards Indianapolis, and yeah, hopefully we can make the re-overtaking move for the lead very, very quickly, maybe even towards the Porsche curves, if we can catch up enough as we charge into Indianapolis. And yeah, we are already pretty close to the race leader, so long as we can get through Arnage cleanly, we should be able to re-overtake them on the run towards, oh, big slide there, that might spoil our chances. But yeah, we definitely need to come in on this lap and change these tyres, because they are stuffed, and regardless we need to come in for fuel anyway. But yeah, not sure if we can quite make that re-overtaking move now. But this could actually be a pretty treacherous final sector, as we get a lot of understeer there into the Porsche curves. So we have to be very, very careful throughout this sector of the racetrack to make sure we can get through cleanly and without having any incidents, because the rear tyres are not going to support the rear end of the car. So we're just trying to coast it through nicely without trying to push our luck too much. And now we'll come in for our stop, and given the ouch, okay, never mind, I was going to say given the tyre wear rate, we might be able to get a bit of an undercut as we go for a spin there. So a very messy pit entry, and it looks like everyone else is pushing on further, so they may be in even lower fuel maps. But yeah, we're going to split the race 50-50. The refuel rate for these you know, standard races against the AI is 10 litres a second, so there's not really an advantage to saving fuel unless it saves you a pit stop. So given that no matter what you do, you're going to need to stop in this race, we might as well push it as much as we can and split a 50-50, because the refill is only going to take about 10 seconds, and you can easily make that up by running map 3 as opposed to you know, map 6, and saving only a few seconds in the pit lane. But anyway, we will come out all the way down in P11, so we need to come back through the field again. We continue on to the end of the lap, and as a few pit stops are made, we're up into 8th position. Importantly, you can see the other Toyota GT1 is in the race lead now in clear air, and we'll be going very, very quickly, so we need to make the most of these laps. It takes us until the second chicane to catch up to a nice bundle of cars, and hopefully we'll be able to clear this lot all at once, perhaps before Mulsanne corner. I'm not sure if we'll quite have the speed to do that. We might be in amongst them as we arrive there. We'll see what we can do, as we are building the straight line speed pretty quickly, and we'll just clear the bunch before we get into Mulsanne corner, get it nicely on the brakes, back on racing line, and we'll carry on through. And that's us up into P4 now, purple this lap so far. We continue on then, and we can see the top few cars entering pit lane, and oh, a big spin there, and that is straight into the barrier. That is a pretty significant hit. Let's try and get ourselves back on the road. I was trying to follow the bit of tarmac there, but it almost led us astray. But yeah, that's dropped us a couple of spots. But more importantly, the Toyota GT1 is already out of pit lane. So they've managed to sneak through. They probably would have been ahead anyway with that kind of pace. That's insane. We were ahead when we made our pit stop. We pit way ahead of the other GT1, or at least had been ahead of them for a long time. But they've managed to sneak through with both a shorter pit stop and with the crash there. That's crazy. Now it is going to be a very, very tall order for us to catch up. We'll try. We'll see what we can do, but we're going to struggle from here on out. We are already going faster than any previous lap, though, as there's no reason to hold back now. We need to push to the end of this one. Around the outside, moved on up into third position, but we're going to need a lot more than that. It's not too long before we move ourselves up into second place, but the other Toyota GT1 is 17 seconds up the road. As we continue on to the end of lap number 9, that margin hasn't really changed at all, and as we are approaching the end of the lap, he's in pit lane. He's underfueled the car, and that is going to give us the opportunity to potentially win this race. We can't make any mistakes because they're still going to be very, very quick for the rest of the race, but that extra pit stop will give us the opportunity. They've messed up the strategy, they didn't put enough fuel in, and that might give us the opportunity to take it here, as we will move ourselves ahead and take the race lead. We're about to put someone a lap down here, which is a little bit crazy. We'll work our way through the chicane. Hopefully they won't get in our way too much, as you can see the other GT1 has already emerged from pit lane in second position, so we're still under threat. They're not that far behind us, so we still can't make any mistakes, as big punt, as we were planning to carry a bit more speed than they were, but anyway, hopefully they can cause the other Toyota just as many issues. We move on then to the last few chicanes. We were able to stretch the margin slightly to the other Toyota, and yeah, that's gonna be it for this one. We'll finally be able to get this race done. We'll cross the line to take victory here at Le Mans in the Toyota TS020, GT1 TS020 rather, and yeah, that was a tough race. That other Toyota was just ridiculously fast. 400k in the bank after that race. Absolutely awesome. So we now have a menu book to finish this one off, and it is all about Jaguar. So congratulations, you've got all 3 cars. This completes your Jaguar collection. Once you've collected your present, I've got some stories to tell you about these cars. I'll tell you some stories about these cars, rather. Have I been saying that wrong all this time? Anyway, collection Jaguar completed. And we don't get a roulette ticket for this one. We get a rather classic Jaguar D-Type. Not bad. Not bad at all. Anyway, that's worth 6 million credits, which is pretty cool. So, let's see what we can learn about these cars. Collection Jaguar. When I hear the word Jaguar, I think of beautiful sports cars and countless racing legends. Like this Jaguar E-Type, which debuted in 1961. A modern work of art, cars from this series can be found at world-renowned art galleries. An iconic supercar of the 1990s, the Jaguar XJ220 was not just beautiful on the outside. As you can see, it also had a luxurious leather interior, the kind and quality expected from Jaguar. The commitment to beautiful design has been in Jaguar's wheelhouse since it started building cars. The company was founded in 1922 as the Swallow Sidecar Company. In addition to motorcycle sidecars, they were known for their striking body design and elegant interiors, ultimately rising to prominence as a coach builder. 1935 saw the arrival of the SS Jaguar, the first car to bear the Jaguar name, which was meant to evoke the speed, power and grace of its big cat namesake. In 1945, the Swallow Sidecar Company rebranded itself as Jaguar. From the very beginning, Jaguar's star shone particularly bright in the world of motorsport, winning long-distance races across Europe throughout the 1930s. In 1951, the Jaguar C-Type won the company its first victory at the Le Mans 24 Hours. A feat topped by its successor, the D-Type, which pulled off 3 consecutive wins from 1955 on. This XJR9 from 1988 also has a very important place in the history of Jaguar. After taking 6 victories in the 1988 World Sports Prototype Championship, it went on to win Jaguar its 6th overall win at the Le Mans 24 Hours. Pure speed, unreal beauty, and legendary track performance, this fantastic collection says it all. And there we go, the end of the story about Jaguar. Or Jaguar, as someone I know says. But anyway, let's head over and, well, we actually do have a roulette ticket to spin, but it's not from the menu book, just a daily mileage one. But we'll finish off the episode with this anyway. So, as always, thank you so much for watching all the way to the end. I really do appreciate it. We don't get too much from our roulette ticket, just standard 10k. That's pretty normal for the daily marathon tickets. But anyway, yeah, feel free to give me some feedback in the comments. It is always very helpful. And other than that, I will see you in the next one, and goodbye. Oh yeah, and this is a thing now too.